We are all a little depraved and debaucherous. Here is the king of podcasts.
And welcome to the program. I want to thank all of you that caught the episode on YouTube this week. My episode last week when it comes to sex boxes and it's safer streets for sex workers. Yeah, that was quite a story. And so we're going to go ahead and just continue to go along the line of sex, as we're going to talk about the concept of that's a body. And for some of you in the younger demographic of this audience, which I love all of you young women and men that listen to this program, thank you. I am trying to get this content to all of you. It's important to all of you. That's why I'm here. You know, and TikTok's just not the format for me to necessarily go ahead and put this kind of content in a longer form. It doesn't work. So the clips I put up there, and they kind of help. So you'll probably catch some of these after the fact when I put the episode up. But that's a body. I'm going to say that this concept is a bit of the delusional side, but this is something that really does trend in the alpha male podcast category. You're fresh and fit, whatever, shows like that. I got it. It's like that's it, the pregame show, all those kind of alpha, traditional romantic sex type of shows, right? On, either YouTube or TikTok or podcasting, whatever. So now the concept, pretty simple. While men count body count, and listen, I understand that some women are not going to just subscribe to the whole idea of how guys want a woman with low body count or basically a virgin. Yeah, that's not something that's so common today. We have to understand that unless you're going to another country where certain Western and American values are not adhered to like it is today, you shouldn't be surprised if you find a girl 18, 19, 21, 22, 23 and older, maybe having a tattoo or two, maybe having a change of her hair color, maybe doing some things that would be outside of her normal, natural, authentic beauty. Because for whatever reason, there's a reason she decided to go ahead and deter from that. And if it's not because of any kind of sexual trauma, it's because of the sex and the sexuality that she already possesses now. I mean, just if you haven't been to a strip club, and I know that some of you young people have. I was just talking to a girl that was driving her home tonight on Halloween night, and she was mentioning how her daughters, she's probably in her early 40s, and she was going out to grab some food, took a ride over to BurgerFi, grabbed herself a quick snack, and she was going back to her house. And as I was driving her back over, she makes the point about how she's got teenage daughters, 2 in college, and nothing against the idea that, strip clubs are actually a place that their friends might go, and they might have gone themselves because that's just normal. The clubs and the normal setup of that are not the same anymore. The clubs suck now. People don't dance anymore. They just sit around, wait for, get bottle service and try to get noticed. And that's it. And I'm thinking that's not the days of what I remember. I remember going to the club, paying for a tab, right? Paying for the cover, buying a girl a drink, getting to dance with her, shake uglies, bump uglies together, get a little bit sweaty and loose in there, and maybe you're going to take the girl home. Or the guy gets, taken by the girl and she drags him out of the club. I still remember one night I was coming out of Club Liquid and the girl was drunk, but she was with me dancing for about a good half an hour, and I was going to take her with me. We were going to go and hang out somewhere else. And as soon as I took about 3 steps outside of the club, her best friend, for whatever reason, because I guess she didn't like me, pulled me away and took her back into the club. Now, she went along. This was not me dragging her out with me. She came with me. Okay, she wrapped her arm around my shoulder, wrapped her arm around me, and walked with me hand in hand out of the club. And she's an adult. So if she wanted to go with me, she could. And we were already kind of making out and things like that. So it wasn't me taking her away to do something that she didn't want to go do. It was consensual. Even if she was drunk. She wasn't so drunk that she couldn't walk out of the club. I would say tipsy. But still, okay, she had some drinks in her. She wanted to go along, just like any other self-respecting guy. Hey, if she wants to go along, that's her prerogative. I wasn't going to be the one that initiates it. I didn't even have an idea of what they're going to do if that was going to happen, but I went along with it. And the girl just drags her back. And that was it. I didn't even bother to go back in. I was like, okay. It could have been part of my body count, but, you know, my body count's not that high. I know that. That's okay. Some guys get all the luck. Some guys get all the body count they want. And some women think that anything counts as a body. In the current terms of day, I bet you a girl that was supposedly going out or interested in me, she would have seen what I just did. Taking the girl with me outside of the club, making out with her, dancing with her, and going out. That's like 3 bodies. Okay? That's what they're talking about here. So let's take some context here so you can understand clearly what that's a body is about. So the phrase "that's a body" is being tossed around the internet. Now, this has been actually more than a year from what I was doing on my research that's been going on. And on TikTok, it's just starting to amplify. It's a slang term that refers to someone who could be a potential sex partner. For example, in the tweet that they put in here, they mentioned, if he picks you up from the airport, that's a body. Another one added on Goodreads, that's a body. So while picking up someone up from the airport is not a sexual act, if a guy does that for a girl, it may be interpreted as that he likes or desires her and is actively trying to impress her. Another one says, if a girl takes a photo in your car and it's on her Insta highlights, that's a body. So these are women that are just randomly just dropping that's a body references. Creator Sarahu, which, by the way, if you have not followed Saharu, I guess that's how it's said. Yeah, Sahar, Canadian girl, beautiful, smart, vibrant, very charismatic. She's just a doll. I love her. And I do watch a lot of her stuff. She's a big Swiftie fan, Taylor Swift fan. And she does a lot of dating and advice things and just a lot of things. And this is her with her friends talking about what is considered a body. What's a body? Or that's a body. So we're going to go and play this for you right now.
With other girls alone, like it's just you two.
You know, like
letting someone scratch their back.
or like play with their hair.
Oh yeah,
No.
that just got me mad.
I get mad in like a public setting, and then like some other girls going up to them trying to like calm them down, be like, oh my god, it's okay.
Oh, absolutely not.
Like why? Why are you doing?
Going on vacation with them, just them
Ew.
two.
Like why?
You fucking for real.
Tell me you're fucking without telling me you're fucking. Things that count as
So that's part of the that's a body trend. So she's one of the few that really brought that up and just set it out there. So that was just to make the explanation. And it's part of an ongoing trend that goes on, which we were having actually since TikTok really took a trend. Because TikTokers have been asking strangers their body count as more than a little uncomfortable. Sarah Belcher wrote this back in January 2020 before pandemic. And so users were coming under fire for faking seizures like Juice WRLD's Lucid Dream at the time and complaining about the friend zone by welcoming people to Simp Nation. So then there were uncomfortable TikTok trends going on that users are now asking strangers for their body count. And this has been going on for a while, as we said. Here's a go.
Body count?
Yeah, what is it?
5.
Any black guys?
No.
Why not?
I don't know. Just having the opportunity.
All right, what if I gave you the opportunity tonight? What's your body count?
I stopped counting at 50.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
So that's the kind of things that are going on. But then again, Distractify kind of gives us the context. Now let's go farther into the story itself. So we heard about the Roman Empire trend. The Roman Empire trend is when there are guys that supposedly they think about the Roman Empire at least every so often, like once a week. It's a common thing that people think about the Roman Empire. Guys do. And now it's a thing where somebody says something about, and this is my Roman Empire. This is what I focus on. I got that. So that's a new thing that's going on right now as well. And when someone says that's a body on TikTok, they mean that their partner's body count has increased by one person, aka they have cheated. And there's many more thoughts of what would be considered that's a body. So if you say you think a girl's dog will like you, that's a body. Another one is if you breathe air in the same direction of another girl, that's a body. If you borrow a guy's sweater, that's a body. So it's viral again. And so people are getting caught up in that again for whatever reason. Okay. It's very common. Now, the thing is, do we really need to care about this? Is it a point where all of us as men and women that might be interested in love, dating, relationships, marriage, are we at the point where we are so desensitized now that we'll just accept whatever somebody is just because that's just the way it is? There's no other way to look at it. I mean, are we going to be traditional and just say, no, we're going to stick to our guns? We want someone that's pure, that's a virgin, like white as snow, whatever. And then, you want to have a family that's going to be, well, you have a woman that is pure, wholesome, innocent, submissive, virgin. And that's where many modern women don't want to look at that way. They don't want to be perceived that way. They don't want to be that way. Because of how many modern women there are out there, there's less and less chance that you're going to find, because remember, there is the real concept of modern women that will go after the top 1%, top 2% of men. So the guys that are really getting body count are the ones that are well off with income, more attractive, more physically fit. Those are the ones that get the body count, an excessive body count at that. So if you want to just realize, women, if you're worried about that part and you're going to try to count certain things as a body count, then yeah, there are going to be certain guys that have excessive body count, a ridiculous amount of body count. But your average everyday guy, no, they don't have that much body count. I would think that, your average guy might not even get more than 10 to 12 girls in a lifetime, maybe a little bit more than that, but that's about it. I mean, think about it. I mean, if I had to go and think about it myself, my actual body count, I'm trying to think about it as we do this recording, and I'm trying to think of myself. I mean, if I had to think about it, I'm going to probably say 4 or 5, and that's about it. That's all I can think about. It might be it. And that's actual penetration. We're not talking about, second or third base. We're talking about home runs. And that's what should be considered as body count, by the way. When you actually it's penetration. That is body count. That's where I count it as. That's what guys would normally count it as. But women, because they're offended, they are perturbed by the idea of guys worrying about their body count. They'd rather just be sarcastic and just laugh up the fact that, oh, well, you have a lot more body count or as much as I do. So this is the idea of doing this to go ahead and put down and put water on the idea of guys asking a woman's body count. Which that was something you never asked before. It's like asking a woman her age. You would never ask that question. But today, we are desensitized. From the time I was dating in the 90s, early on, into the 2000s, into the 2010s, to today, that's almost like a common question. It's almost like an acceptable question. We are desensitized as a society. We are desensitized on many things. The way we look at sex, and the fact that we have this kind of puritanistic, more of a cleansing, if you will, socially, where sex can't even be considered or talked about. And of course, we can't talk about sex with just a man and a woman. If we're not talking about everyone having sex, no matter if that person is perceived as a man or woman or non-binary, yeah, we don't know. But these things are in the consideration. So what do you do about that? So another story from news.com.au talks about body checking, the act of seeking reassurance and information about the size, appearance, or look of one's body or specific body. And the videos manifest in various ways. Certain trends and sounds actively encourage TikTok users to disclose their weight and focus on their body shape, while others see people accentuate certain areas of the body using filters and baggy clothing. And you'll see comments on there about, I'm not hungry anymore, skipping dinner. And the platform is creating a role of perpetuating and spreading pro-anorexia and disordered eating content. Well, why are half the trends, and one person, CJ, who's a TikTok user, says, why are half the trends on here just straight up body checks that glorify skinny/attractive bodies doing normal shit? And the video had 28.2 thousand likes, 228,000 views. And that's another issue we have, is body checking that goes on, where we're now so intuitive and so detailed and so nosy about what we want to know about somebody. So this is the part I don't like. Okay. Frequent weighing, checking one's appearance in a mirror, reflective surfaces like windows, pinching skin folds, feeling for bones, and checking the circumference of body parts like wrists, waists, or thighs. Yeah, this is the beauty trend on steroids. And this is the part where people just need to realize, listen, the body checking going on can be concerning behavior if it becomes obsessive or compulsive. And TikTok influencers are trying to go and call the trend to stop this, to stop making people feel so conscious about themselves that they're worried about how their body looks and they're just getting body shamed. Like, for what? What good is that? That's the part I really do agree with. And I'm like, what's going on here? Now, back to the that's a body story. So I'm going to a college paper now to talk about this. V.D. Patel writes an op-ed piece that says TikTok and that's a body trend promotes misogyny. That's what they say. So in the story, they say that TikTok has drastically changed the narrative around relationship dynamics, specifically heterosexual relationships. The platform does encourage positive changes like leaving toxic relationships that are not fulfilling, also promotes negative behaviors. And the cultural shift they're talking about here in a relationship, the conversation directed towards boyfriends having female friends or the girl best friend, and a negative view of the friendship a woman might share with a man who is in a relationship. Well, look, as I've already said before, I don't believe in women and men being honestly friends, because we know that any friendship in that sense can be very fragile when it comes down to it, because what if they go into their own individual relationships? Do the friendships sustain? Probably not. This is the part what I hated about the friend zone the most. When I got stuck on the friend zone, it was always about the fact that, anytime this girl finds a boyfriend, she's going to shut me out and stop talking to me. I will be ghosted. I will be left on red. And it happened. Because guys, you do understand that, right? When you are stuck in that friend zone and you think maybe there's a chance to go and get out of it, there's always a good chance that that girl is going to find the next boyfriend, the next significant other, maybe a girlfriend, and she will then move on to you because they do not want to spark any jealousy. And that's it. Done. This is something you got to consider very strongly because it can very well happen. Now, in the story here, this is from the Daily Illini, Illinois University newspaper. TikTok already houses a cesspool of toxic behavior, has introduced a new trend where women describe actions that they consider to be a body, equivalent to a sex partner in the context of someone's body count. And we already played Sahar's video, or TikTok, and naturally everything on TikTok is exaggerated, the says, but this type of behavior cannot be written off as a joke when it has pervaded the culture of relationships. It is ignorant and naive to believe that these ideas are confined to the online spaces from which they originate. And this trend is women expressing actions that they believe their boyfriends should not do with their female friends because it is too intimate or too considerate for comfort. Well, yeah, this is another way of basically saying, listen, if a guy does have a girl best friend and he is in a relationship, this is a jealous thing. This is a trust issue. So this is a woman just deciding to go ahead and just make a joke about it because internally she's pissed off about it. She's not happy about it. It's being done in a sarcastic manner. Do you understand? It is. Now, the user expresses the desire for their partner to refer to every woman as a bitch. No longer these situations about taking men spurting or flirting women. They've extended to every interaction a boyfriend has with a woman, even in public places like a drive-thru. Is actively encouraging aggressive misogyny under the pretense of relationship stability. There's that word, misogyny. Misogyny. Anyways. Now, this might be going a little bit farther. So, VD says that while this is exaggerated, many of these videos include violence. Even as a joke, it is astounding to see women saying they want their boyfriends to physically assault other women for approaching them. People internalize these narratives and begin to think that it is genuinely toxic for their partner to interact with women. Listen, if you're worried about a guy that might be, subconsciously flirting or just being nice, I mean, it doesn't sound good for you to go ahead and say, well, you're going to just like, he's my man. Like, that's the other thing too. In traditional sense, when this kind of thing happened, I mean, how many times have we heard songs where, I remember listening to R&B songs all the time where we had a woman being upset and going after another woman for taking her man away or for talking to her man. When women used to defend the fact that if the guy was, inadvertently, maybe not on purpose, was talking to a girl, could be a coworker, could be whatever. I think of songs where that kind of thing used to happen all the time. It used to be a thing. But right now, this is an absolute trust issue. That's what it really comes down to. It's not right for guys to have to go into body count. When the truth is, you could probably find out if a girl has been very sexually active. Let me just put it to you like this. If you are in bed with your girlfriend or your fiance or whatever, and you have sex with each other, if she's experienced, maybe she has, maybe not so much body count, but she has sexual experience. And for some guys, that's okay. They don't want a woman who is virgin that doesn't know how to have sex. But there are guys, obviously, that want to have a woman that's already well versed in sex. Could go reverse cowgirl, or could go 69, could go, and whatever kind of kinky BDSM foreplay kind of things that you want. All right. So there could be that too. For some guys, that's totally acceptable. But what happens here? And the complaints could get dangerous, this Daily Illini story says. When these women are giving a girl a ride home, a night out is considered a body. If women simultaneously claim they were a girl's girl while being angry at their boyfriend's concern for the safety of their female friends, something was lost in translation. And ultimately, they say in the story that women are saying that they do not trust their boyfriends or the women in their lives. They do not believe their partners should treat all their friends the same regardless of gender. This is that standard that female friends are always meant to be held in suspicion and contempt by taken women. Well, remember, let's just make this point. Women, it's difficult for them to make friends. You do know that, right? It is very difficult for women to be consistently friends because there is a vitriol. There is a lot of cattiness in some cases with some women going out with each other and hanging out with each other and being friends. Guys don't have that kind of problem. And guys don't even think about it. I mean, the one thing is that bro code is always like, don't screw with another guy's girl. You don't do that. And, you also don't want to go and take a girl after she's broken up with him. Like go after him, or go after her like it's the recycle bin. No. Don't do that. Don't do that. They write up and say that women and men can never just be friends narrative is not a new one, but TikTok is undoubtedly exacerbating the problem to the extreme. Implying that a woman is not allowed to even interact with a man, even if he is in a relationship. It's created a very toxic environment for male-female platonic relationships that is sending women back. So body count, asking about body count, not a good idea. When you could just totally ask, well, how many relationships have you been in? That's the question. That's a question that's always been allowed, as far as I know. And as for using that's a body narrative, that's just a catty thing that women will do with each other. That's really just women and women doing this because that's only a women's thing to do that's a body issue. It's not right either way. I don't like it, but what are you going to do about it? I want to bring up one more story before we wrap things up. And this was a story that I actually talked about last week on the Broadcasters podcast. Yes, go ahead and figure this out, huh? So there was a thing where when I talk about movies, TV, music, and radio on the Broadcasters podcast, when I get a study that I saw on here about Generation Z, a UCLA study called Teens and Screens, they actually found out in the study of among 1,500 young men or women or teenagers that was 10 to 24 years old. And out of those 1,500, they said that there was a large percentage that want less sex on screen, and they want more relationships that are, well, let me tell you what it said. Okay. This is the UCLA School Center for Scholars and Storytellers. Now, if you want the full report, go listen to Broadcasters Podcast over at kingofpodcasts.com. That's the last episode that's on here as you're hearing this show. And the UCLA School Center for Scholars and Storytellers comes the Teens and Screens report. They reported that 51.5% of adolescents would like to see more content depicting friendships and platonic relationships. They don't want to see as much sex anymore, and not any of the traditional perceived sex, or even sex between two odd partners. They don't want to see that either. Now, 1,500 people were surveyed for the full report. 100 participants from every age bracket between 10 and 24 years old. The sex and romance issues were asked to 13 to 24-year-olds. And the survey that 44.3% of those surveyed felt that romance in media is overused. 39% would like to see more depictions of aromantic or asexual characters. And 47.5% reported that sex is not necessary to the majority of TV shows and movie pilots. So when we talk about sex scenes like HBO's Euphoria and The Idol, or if we want to just watch movies like 50 Shades of Grey, or, I'll even put in Riverdale into that example. I brought that up on a previous episode a few weeks ago. In the story, they said that young people who participated spoke on media stereotypes and expressed a similar desire for sex and romance to be decentered. And they talked to a 17-year-old black male from Georgia, says that, quote, "I don't like that every time a male and female character are together on screen, studios feel the need to make them fall in love. There's a complete lack of platonic relationships in American cinema." There's so much more to that we could go and bring up, but this is an idea. And as I said, I even mentioned it. I should have done this on the Praise of the Debauchers, but the story was so good and it was so media-centric, I had to report it on Broadcasters Podcast. So I did that episode there, and you could take a listen for yourself. Interesting stuff today. So yeah, body count, and that's a body. It might be fun to go and see these kind of things going on TikTok, and sure, some of you can have fun with that if you want to. Go right ahead. We're going to leave it there for tonight. But anyway, thanks for listening to the program, as you always do. Thank you for finding the episode and finding me at kingofpodcasts.com. Of course, like I said, I always put clips over on TikTok, Instagram, Trends, X, formerly Twitter, and, all those great places. But yeah, fun, isn't it? I'll tell you what, some of the things that we see out here that people go ahead and talk about on a regular basis, like, wow. So yeah, guys and gals, if you're going to try to date now, and if you're going to talk about guys, you're going to talk about body count, and girls, you're going to talk behind their backs about that's a body. Let's just get back to like hooking up and just enjoying each other's company. Maybe not worrying about what they're doing with other people. Worry more about what you're doing with each other. Worry about getting a little more depraved and debaucherous.